So tell us about Live 100. I mean, how did that come up? What does it mean? What is it?
Sure. So Live 100 is breaking your bad habits so you can build momentum, so you can magnify the success you deserve to have. So the three foundational blocks are break, build, and magnify. And each of those three blocks have core principles on top of them. And what really stood out is that a lot of people have come up to me over the years and said, well, how'd you break this change? Like, how'd you get out from, being at this one part, from being a bartender and just making these things? And I look back and it just got to the simple part is that I started to be self-aware of how I was showing up. And that's the first principle, right? So I was self-aware that I wasn't showing up in a good way. I was negative. I wasn't forthcoming. I didn't, have a good head on my shoulders. I wasn't responding in a positive way. I would just, my thoughts were always from the lack and not of the long, right? And so I had to be self-aware of how I was showing up. And the next part of that was, instead of just saying, okay, I guess that's what it is, I started to own it. I said, okay, I'm not showing up in this way, right? I'm not showing up as the person I want to be. And what that stood out is that I knew I wanted to be someone different. I wanted someone that could, control my day, be healthy, have success. And then I started to look at the habits of what that person would have, right? Well, how does that person show up? Well, they weren't constantly saying, well, how's your day? Well, at least I'm not dead, right? It was, I started to get away from those things that you would just hear, right? And you start
Yeah.
to pay attention. Like, people are like, well, how you doing? Oh, like, it gets that part, because when you start putting those words out into the universe, like, your mind can't tell the difference, right? Whatever you're feeding your mind, it just starts to create your energy going out there. And so I started to be self-aware, but own it, right? Okay, oh yeah, I'm not showing up with that person. So how does that person show up? And so the third principle, is you have self-awareness, you have owning where you are, is positioning yourself for greatness. So you start to look at the person you want to become, and you don't know exactly how that person is, but you have ideas, right? You see what this person is, right? They're confident, they stand up straight, they speak in the affirmative, right? They have beliefs that are positive beliefs, they talk with positive nature, right? And you start to say, what is the gap from where I am to where that person is? And it starts to make you aware, right? So your mind starts to open up, because 98% of our day is just handled in subconscious way, right? 2% we're actually conscious to it. Like, I was like, when you first go to drive a car, you get into the car and you're aware of, like, here's the steering wheel, like, how do I put the car from park into reverse, right? Where's the pedal, where's the brake? Like, but now you get in the car and you just go and drive it, right? Well, that's a lot with our habits, is that you either have good or bad habits, and you're either just constantly saying, okay, this is a good or bad habit. Most of the time we're built on a lot of bad habits that just happen routinely throughout our day, and we don't even pay attention to them. Instead, we start being self-aware of those habits, and then we start positioning those habits to be better habits. And the key is that, especially here with New Year's resolutions, is that people want to break all these habits, but you can't just break the habit and just say, okay, it's broken. There's going to be a white space there that now needs to be filled, right? So if if you're a smoker and you smoke, 8 times a day, and it's 15 minutes within that day, right? There's 2 hours now that are opened up. And if you're not conscious about what now serves in that 2 hours, you're just going to fill with another one. You're just going to go in there, okay, well, I'm not smoking, well, I'm chewing nicotine gum over there. You're doing something now that just replaces that moment, because you're not really truly thinking of that time you've gotten back and what's going to serve it. And so the best way, when you're now limiting or trailing back or trying to break a habit, is finding what is now going to replace that habit in a positive way, because it allows that time to now be filled with something that's going to help you in both ways. One is going to make you a better person, because the habit's a better builder, but it's also going to allow that habit is being replaced to just consistently stay replaced.